Here we are, folks, in Verbank, New York, home of the non-existent World's Fair. We're at the Freight House here on the green in Verbank, New York, town of Unionville. We've got some sad news. Number one, I lost $10 on a scratch off this morning. Number two, this old freight house is coming down. Yep, that's right. But fear not, it's going to be taken down surgically, board by board, peg by peg, slat by slat. You get the picture. It's going to another home. Seems the owner is going to be taking it down and moving it to his other property to reassemble. This old freight house has a story to tell. It's on the Newburgh, Dutchess, Connecticut rail line that ran from Plum Point down south of Beacon, New York, on the Hudson River. And it ran in a northeasterly route up through pretty much bisecting Dutchess County on up into eventually Millerton, where it shot eastward over through Lakeville, Connecticut, crossing the state line at State Line, New York, or State Line, Connecticut, depending on what sports team you like. Yeah, I'd say she's in pretty good shape. Guess what? Along with the bad news, I got some good news. I've got the combination to the lock, so we're gonna get to go inside and see some really cool stuff. Yep. So I guess a couple weeks it's coming down. He's going to show up with pry bars and saws and hammers and a whole bunch of help, and we'll see what happens. I plan on documenting it. I got the lock open. Here we go. Oh man, there's old John Wayne. I have to admit, folks, when I first got here and I opened the door up and that old boy was staring back at me. Yep. Howdy, Duke. Wow. Look at that. Oh man. Here's another one that's ripped. It was Central New England. To whom it may concern, February 13th, 1913. Wow. Following act of Congress approved. Look at the writing on this door. This is incredible. Here's where somebody was keeping track of bags or buckets or pails. Wow. These old buildings tell quite a story, don't they? Look at this. New York, Brower Brothers, New York, A.F. Young and Company, Reed Street, New York. You know, this just tells, excuse me, John. Oh, there it is. Brower Brothers, 400 South, 248 Washington Street, New York. Brower Brothers and Company. There's another one. Oh boy, look at these walls. I hope I'm not going too fast. There was another one that said something right there. Look at this. 1894 and the white paint right there. Moore's Mills. Well, that's the town just south of here. Moore's Mills in white. Sarah Brown. Boy, oh boy. So this building has been used for the past number of years as a storage facility for an appliance store over on the main road. And it's all pegged. Look at that. Look at how square and straight and true this building is. I hope I'm getting this. I can't tell how good this is coming out till I play it back. I'm over here in the dark corner. This is beautiful. There's Tompkins, it says, Tompkins. Now these boards would all lift up. They would lift up and you could take them out and have that window open. Yeah, man, look at how true this is. Oh, there's an old piano that didn't quite make it. Yeah. Nope. Boy, oh boy, this is a dark corner. Somebody had some fun drawing figures. People. Cartoonish. L.J. Haight. E. Busser. Murray. There's another Browser Brothers. Oh man, so this building's coming down. Boy, I sure do hope he takes it down piece by piece by piece and numbers everything, labels everything. Let me step over some of the spoils of man here. Modern day stuff. Now let me step back here, give you an idea. This was the sliding door here on the front and another one on the back where John Wayne is. And when they were both open, if you notice the door right here between the wall here and right here between the wall here, it's all buffeted up with double flooring, and it's got nice little miters on it. Look at that. It comes down and it miters down for hand trucks and dollies and wagons. Yeah, man. Let's see if we can find the oldest date. Before we got 1894. Look at the rollers on that door. Oh boy. There's some writing up there. Even up on the roof boards. You know, hasn't changed much. This is graffiti from the 1800s. Yeah. Well, right here is an 8 1885. That's the oldest one yet. If you guys see an older date in here that I'm not seeing, this looks like maybe 1882. If you see an older date, let me know. I had this building pegged as being built 1885 or 6, 1883. Boy, oh boy, that paint just, oh, it's amazing. There's an 1894, 1880 right here, 1880. Oh boy, 1880. I had this building kind of dated to 1885. There's a May 9th, 1881. Verbank, December 1885, 1881. 1880 is the oldest one so far over here behind me. Poughkeepsie, New York. Wow. This is so cool. Yeah, the mud daubers are up there. You know, this is a survivor, this building. And we're in a dark corner here. 1886, 1894. I'm going to go with our 1880 date over there as the oldest. 1880. That's telling me this building was here in 1880. Oh, there's some beautiful, beautiful writing. Amy, E-I-G-H-M-I-E. Now that is the last name of the family that built the house that I grew up in, about 5 or 6 miles from here in Clove Valley. The old Clove General Store, gas station, post office, and bakery and gambling hall. Maybe I should do a shot on that house one of these days. Yep, Amy. I apologize for the jumpiness. I'm kind of looking behind me and down as I walk. Looks like Ossining. Yeah, Ossining is a town down on the Hudson River south of here. Well, let's just hope and pray this building gets taken apart with love and care and gets reassembled with love and care. Let's put John back where he was and let's take a look at that date one more time. Where was it? 1880. I know you saw it. I saw it too. Oh, it's lost now. I did see it. Yeah. Wow. I could just spend hours in here looking around. Come here, John. So far, my favorite thing? That right there. Central New England Railway Company, CNE. That is the company that took over the NDNC. 1894. 1880. This building was here in 1880. All right. This is awesome. Beautiful, beautiful. You know, I've said it about some of the stonework in a few of my other videos, how today, modern day, 2022, guys on hydraulic excavators with lasers and hydraulic thumbs couldn't build a stonework the way they did back in the 1880s, 1890s, 1900. And I'm going to say the same thing about buildings. Boy, nobody takes the pride anymore that they did in these old buildings. Let's go outside and see if we can find anything else.
These days go by slow, like you already know. Water into wine, it happens almost every time.
Now here we are at the freight station here on the Green in Verbank, Unionville, part of the ND&C, Newburgh, Dutchess, and Connecticut. Now the earliest east-west rail lines that were laid out in the Dutchess County area was laid out starting down in Beacon at Plum Point, somewhere around 1868. Way back in 1866, September 4th, articles of association were drawn up and discussed, and meetings took place. They were filed in the city of Albany, capital of New York State, and the D&C was formed, the Dutchess and Columbia Railroad. Several organization meetings actually took place right here in Verbank. 1867, the line had been drawn out and surveyed and mapped, and contracts were arranged for construction. Now Plum Point, that's a very interesting story. They took a plumb line, plumb bob of sorts, and they scouted out the area down there in Hudson Valley, along the Hudson River south of Beacon, New York, and they put this plumb bob down and they said, this is a great place to start. And the plumb of the plumb bob was the point of milepost 0 of the Newburgh, Dutchess, and Connecticut Railroad. And over the years, the B was dropped. To this day, it's known as Plum Point, P-L-U-M, Plum Point. That was the starting place for the railroad. The grading for this railroad bed began in 1868 with teams of horses and mules and donkeys and wagons, all manpower. The rails and ties were distributed along the newly graded right-of-way, and it went up through from Fishkill, from Plum Point to Matawan, Glenham, Fishkill, Brinkerhoff, Glenham, Brinkerhoff. Yeah, that's around where Route 52 and Route 82 meet there, modern day, down in the Fishkill area. And then on up into Hopewell Junction, which was just Hopewell at the point, was not a junction yet. To be a junction, you need 2 rail lines. There was only one. The construction of the railroad continued and reached Millerton, its northeasternmost point in New York, in November of 1871. As was common in those days with so many railroads, the principals juggled and moved monies around. They appropriated funds. They said it's going to cost $20 to do something. It costs $100. Not unlike today with our own personal finances. And sometimes this went very well, sometimes not so well at all. The Dutchess and Columbia changed names even before its first revenue run. The B-H-and-E, Boston, Hartford, and Erie Railroad. Now, you would say, what does Dutchess County have to do with Boston and Hartford and Erie, Pennsylvania? Well, not much of anything. But freight was moved from those places through Dutchess County in the later years. The B-H-and-E, they had bought property down in Dennings Point, just south of Beacon again, where a big famous brick plant was built years later, right near Plum Point. The Dutchess and Columbia leased, don't ask me why, I'm sure they came under scrutiny then, but they leased the entire operation that they had laid out so far, from Plum Point to Hopewell. They leased the entire operation to this B-H-and-E. The work continued from Hopewell all the way up through northeasterly, through Clove Branch, Arthur'sburg, LaGrange, Billings, Moores Mills, Verbank Village, just south of here, and Verbank, where we sit right now. And then it went on out to Millerton. Bangor had been reached by the winter of 1869-1870. And it's safe to assume that the rails had reached right here in Verbank by late 1868, early 1869. By March 1870, guess what? The BH&E failed. They went bankrupt. So in 1870, upon hearing this, the owners of the D&C, the original railroad that built the line, began reclaiming their property, their engines, their rolling stock, their cars, their station, all of their belongings. They actually put armed guards at the stations to protect their assets. That's how volatile the situation got. The line was now back to the Dutchess and Columbia. The line then changed hands again, only in name, to the New York, Boston, and Northern. Then it switched to the New York, Boston, and Montreal. Then the Dutchess and Columbia again, when those other two proceeded to die a slow death. On January 8th of 1877, a new corporation was formed, our Newburgh, Dutchess, and Connecticut. In February of that year, the ND&C took over all assets of the D&C. The ND&C continued until the Central New England Railroad absorbed them in 1902. This was a total of 25 years that the Newburgh, Dutchess, and Connecticut ran this line as the Newburgh, Dutchess, and Connecticut. 25 years. So, literally, this rail line ran from 1866 through 1939, plus or minus. So from conception to death, plus or minus 75 years. So in 1866, just to kind of lay this out a little better, 1866 was the D&C. Circa 1868, the BH&E. 1870, the D&C again. Circa 1873, the New York, Boston, and Northern. Circa 1874, a year later, the New York, Boston, and Montreal. Canada. Back in 1877, back to the ND&C. 1902, the CNE, Central New England, took them over. And circa 1939 was abandoned, torn up, gone. And here we are in 2022 documenting it all, because this building is being taken down. Luckily, surgically, and it will be saved and rebuilt on another property by the owner. As I said before, I believe the rails were laid through here, through Verbank, in the year 1868. This building, now we had originally thought circa 1900, but based on those writings and those years that have been carefully preserved in there, and boy, I sure hope they take those boards apart properly so they can get put back the right way. 1880, this building was standing. So now in 2022, it's being surgically taken apart, board by board, lovingly, caringly, and rebuilt on the owner's other piece of land in LaGrange, maybe 10 to 15 miles from here. So it's not going too far. Wish it was staying here. Just on down south of here is Verbank Village. There was a passenger station, freight station, creamery, several sidings, and a hub of commerce, as was here. So just a quick video today of documenting what the freight station here in Verbank on the green looked like, what it looks like, and we're going to follow through with this, and I'll be here when the owner's taking it apart, and then we'll take some pictures when it's rebuilt. Not going to be tomorrow, but we'll be there. Thanks, guys. Lost Railbeds. Subscribe it. Follow us out. Thanks.
Smash to pick up two, but pots and pins and dirty hands will do. What's a boy to do? What's a boy to do? What's a boy to do? Wrote a note, see you soon. Do your hair, but don't dare hide.